The air was dense and the courtroom was hushed as they vowed that day would never happen. Then Jim Jones's own son stood up, his eyes fixed, his voice trembling, and uttered the words that broke the dips at legacy forever. Camron used my mum, and broke. Someone in the back dropped their phone, and you could hear Chrissy gasp. This wasn't just about music feuds, old grudges, or shattered brotherhoods. It was about blood, treachery, and the man in the middle, Cameron Harlem's pink fur. Prince is now portrayed as the antagonist in a tale that is darker than anyone could have imagined. What actually transpired behind closed doors between Chrissy and Cam? Why does Jim Jones remain mute as his own kid sobs in front of the judge? How did the internet is ablaze with tweets describing Dipset's transformation from legendary to legally explosive in a single generation? While some fans are shocked, others claim they saw this coming all along. There's little doubt that this is war, not just drama, and it all began when a son finally raised his voice. The courtroom was crowded with reporters, bloggers, admirers, and phony wigs trying to fit in with everyone else while the cameras rolled. Wanted in why? Since this was not just any trial, but the one in which the untouchable legends of Harlem were pulled through the dirt by their own blood. Jim Jones sat with his teeth gritted and his eyes locked as his adolescent son adjusted the microphone. The room didn't just get quiet, it froze, and Chrissy's fingers trembled as she gripped the bomb. No one saw it coming. Cameron used my mum, and he exploited us. Boom, the silence that followed was louder than any diss track Dips had ever dropped. Let's go back a bit since this explosion didn't happen overnight. Let's talk about how we got there. Armrest like it owed her money, and Cameron sat 3 seats back, not even looking up, sweatshirt on, sunglasses inside, face like stone. For more than 10 years, Cameron and Jim Jones led one of the most recognizable hip-hop groups, Dipset Loud Untouchable. However, beneath all of that, a civil war was simmering covertly. And guess what it had Chrissy Lampkin, the original ride-or-die Jim's longtime lover and reality TV legend, enters the scene. Although it has less to do with music and more to do with a woman, Chrissy's name continued appearing in the background of reality cameras and studio lights, texting Cam during late-night studio sessions and whispering rumors with him. Initially, no one took it seriously because Chrissy was faithful to Cam, and he was Jim's brother from a previous mother. But then came during the filming of Love and Hip Hop Miami, Jim remained mute despite texts with fictitious names, late-night hotel reservations, and an Uber receipt made from Cameron's production company account to a place suspiciously close to Chrissy's Airbnb. Perhaps he didn't know or didn't want to, but the boy eventually discovered that, according to court documents, Jim Jones's teenage son had discovered a laptop hidden in storage while searching for old Dipset DVDs. Inside, he saw a folder named Keep a 19-minute FaceTime screen capture of Cameron smiling shirtless and sipping wine while conversing with someone who sounded and looked a lot like Chrissy was captured in screenshots and audio recordings of Your Mouth Shut Inside. I used to look up to Cam. He was like an uncle. But once I saw what he did to my mom and how it broke my dad, I realized everything was fake, and here's what happened. The same son, who is now testifying, said to the judge, "Where things go even? Worse, a private source inside the courtroom told us that the son had to stop testifying twice to wipe away his tears and collect himself." He claimed to have witnessed Chrissy and Jim brutally argue. Once in which Chrissy allegedly said, "You believe you were the only victim?" And the cherry on top was an audio clip that showed Cameron's voice, garbled yet clear, playing directly in the courtroom, saying, "You know what it is, Chrissy. He ain't gotta find out until you want him to," was followed by quiet laughing, silence, and a gasp from someone in the gallery who appeared to have fainted. But wait, there's more. Before the boy disclosed, his mother once wrote him a handwritten note in case something went wrong, detailing the whole breakdown of her complex connection with Cameron. It began as business, but eventually veered off course, and she felt duped, saying Jim would never. Since the letter was confirmed by a handwriting analyst and postmarked from 2019, long before this trial had started, it is clear that Cameron's team quickly objected to the hearsay, which the judge permitted. Despite this, Jim Jones remained silent, sitting with his lips squeezed tightly and periodically massaging his forehead as if to erase the moment. But Cam was just getting started. because Camron's attorney asked for a break after the letter was read, but it was turned down. At that point, the prosecution released another shocking social media post from Cam's burner Instagram account to someone identified as Queen C. The messages, "You've already told him you're on set, and you do that thing with your tongue. Yes, those." The courtroom is now a minefield, and nobody knows which side to support. Jim looks deceived, Chrissy looks destroyed, and Cam is the son concluded his evidence with a comment that genuinely stopped the judge cold. He broke us, he used her, and now he wants to act like the victim. He sat there as if he knew this day would come, but he didn't care. Following Jim's son's testimony, the judge sat in quiet. The chamber was dead silent, and the court was temporarily adjourned because Camron himself was about to testify. The tension was so high that you could cut it with a dipset chain. When Camron dropped the emotional bomb in court, everyone thought he would run away, avoid the stand, or perhaps even make a statement through his public relations team. But no, that would have been too tactful. Instead, Camron got up and walked away. As if the limelight wasn't already brilliant enough, Camron entered a radio freestyle without a suit or tie, wearing just a bubble vest, black trousers, and sunglasses, indoors. The judge narrowed her eyes when the baif shouted his name, and then Camron took. People were whispering and vibrating their phones in their laps, and Chrissy was unable to look up as she glanced down at the table with her fingers clutching her designer clutch as if it were a lifeline. The prosecutor then came up to Cam. Using his official name, she said, "Did you or did you not engage in an intimate relationship with Miss Lampkin while she was in a long-term relationship with Mr. Jones?" With assurance and readiness. He added that the courtroom exploded and the judge banged her gavel order was called, but the damage was already done. Cam's renowned Harlem smirk was all the public needed to go crazy on Twitter. Back in court, the Sierra heat was just getting started as the prosecutor produced a transcript. Erupted Cam just plead the dipset Chrissy got to throw the whole bag away. Jim Jones better drop a diss track today. One from a wiretap discussion between Camron and an unidentified female caller whose voice matched Chrissy's from 2 years ago. "You keep stating that the conversation wasn't serious, since it wasn't seen, but rather that I was there because you needed me." Something caused the room to freeze once more, and now look, he hates me even if he doesn't hate you. This wasn't a one-time error. Rather, it was the result of an emotional entanglement that was created. Chrissy's voice cracked, and that was me. She said it quietly but loudly enough for the microphone to pick it up. And I don't know who that was. He said it might have been anyone on Years of Secrecy Cam, that Chrissy Lampkin's voice was acknowledged as being yours by the judge, who leaned forward and pursed her lips. Chrissy nodded, and Jim Jones didn't even blink. That Chrissy Lampkin became part of the official court record. Then came the prosecution's most powerful tool yet, a string of emails from Cam's label sent to VH1 producers pitching a deal. His face was stone, but his eyes were blazing with blood, and you could feel it like static crawling through the air. Although the show never aired, the secret Chrissy and Cam reality TV spinoff was allegedly taped during a difficult time in Chrissy and Jim's relationship. Chrissy had even signed a non-disclosure agreement, according to a leaked copy, which was now in the hands of the prosecution. Why wasn't this made public? The prosecutor asked Cam, who shrugged. Jim learnt about it, and VH1 shut it down. Jim's eyes were fixed on him. Why didn't you tell your friend you were using? Because loyalty is a lie in this industry. You either make moves or you get played. The prosecution continued Cam's remark, and the audience gasped. One man in the gallery even yelled, "You foul," before being escorted out. But that wasn't even the worst of it, because just as Cam was stepping down from the witness stand, the judge halted everything. There's one more recording. The audio was disturbing. It was Camron's obviously inebriated voice, garbled at what sounded like a private party. She added a new envelope had just come that morning. Anonymous sender inside a flash drive marked only with a black C, discussing the Chrissy scenario. With a group of men wasn't even meant to get personal, but because women are like that, she got caught up in her sentiments and began talking as if we were forever or something, and Jim became distraught and began to disappear. I don't have time for that, buddy. You can't create an empire on feelings. You need to remain calm. The courtroom remained quiet, and the judge appeared to be unaware. Whether to shout or cry, Chrissy's tears were genuine, unstaged, and unfiltered, and Jim's hands were balled up into fists beneath the table. This wasn't simply treachery anymore. Camron had exploited people's emotions, twisted the story, and attempted to use suffering as leverage. The audience at last realized why Jim's kid was so distraught throughout his testimony, because what he witnessed wasn't merely dishonesty, but rather the methodical disintegration of everything. Just before the camera feed went off Jim, the judge announced possible charges for civil exploitation, emotional abuse, and slander. He called home portion 2 ended with the judge ordering a quick break. Jones got up and left the courthouse without saying anything. He was just a devastated man leaving a room full of ghosts. However, what transpired outside the courtroom when fans, members of the media, and former Dipset members flocked to the Jim Jones was ambushed by microphones as soon as he entered the corridor. The interns from Shade Room, TikTok live streams, and others were shouting, "Jim, do you forgive Cam? Did Chrissy lie to you for years? Are you still standing by your household?" Jim didn't respond to any questions. Instead, he continued to walk directly to the black SUV that was waiting outside, slammed the door, and left without turning around, while Chrissy was inside the courthouse. The important tears weren't simply grief anymore. They were exposure. This wasn't reality TV. This was actual reality, the type you don't edit out. She collapsed, not figuratively, but practically. A court officer had to hold her before her knees struck the floor. Camron walked out as if it were just another Wednesday, even dapped up one of the guards and said, "No hard feelings, big dog," grinning. You could hear Chrissy sobbing from down the hall. The internet went into full meltdown mode that night as Camron began trending with a dip setup. Chrissy got freed from Chrissy, and then an old photo was leaked for the first time ever. Image of Camron and Chrissy in a 2016 Miami Beach rental. With the message, "Tay, days before Jim flew down Smug Boom," and the date stamp, which proved accurate even though Chrissy was allegedly living in New York. Fans began piecing together Instagram images of vacations, love, hip-hop episodes, air dates, and dubious lyrics from Cam's relationship timeline scandal, which was more than just courtroom drama. Everyone was playing detective with previous tunes, but it was Joel's Santana Yep Dipset's own wild card. That caused the real boom. He went live on Instagram at 2:17 a.m. "We've been new about Cam, and Chrissy asks me why I haven't said anything since Jim wasn't ready. But now that everyone knows what loyalty looks like, you guys want to play startled. I'm hooded up, blunts lit, eyes low, but voice keen." When it's one-sided, the guy was trying to turn the entire team against one another by using Chrissy as bait. Jim's son showed more bravery than the rest of us combined, and supporters showered him with remarks, abandoned all loyalties throughout the legacy time. If Jules is telling the truth, the repercussions was immediate as companies abruptly canceled Cameron's limited edition shoe agreement with Reebok and silently delayed the pending review on VH1. Deleted earlier commercials with a Dipset theme. From their Legends of Love and Hip Hop playlist, Dame Dash even unfollowed Cam on Instagram. Then, in the next shocking development, Jim Jones's legal team revealed that they were suing VH1 rather than Cam. Additionally, the suit accused the producers of Love and Hip Hop of gross emotional negligence because hacked emails indicated they were aware of Cam and Chrissy's predicament years ago and allegedly used it to alter storylines for ratings, and the abuse of a juvenile, alluding to Jim's son being put in a psychologically taxing setting for on-screen drama. Camron committed the unimaginable by going on Drink Champs, which is exactly 72 Don't Act Like I'm the Only One Who Crossed Lines. Chrissy and I have a history together. After the courtroom collapsed, Cam sat down with a glass in hand and asked the world, "Was I wrong? Was she hurt?" Recognizing that's grown people's business, and I will always adore Jimmy, but love doesn't imply silence if I'm the villain right now. Nevertheless, I've been worse, and TikTok audio has been overrun with memes. While Cam was transforming the bop scandal into streams, Jim was going into a tailspin and posted a dark screen on Instagram. The interview was used as background music for sloppy breakup films, parody skits, and toxic ex-confessionals, with the message, "Family loyalty is what makes you, not blood." Then he vanished. According to Jim's close friends, he left New York, Entirely booked a final, he apparently cut off all communication with Cam and is in therapy. He took a quick journey to Ghana, where he owns property. Some claim he needed spiritual healing, while others believe he simply needed to breathe. Jim's kid hasn't spoken in public since the trial, but insiders say he's doing better and has been given a book contract. Yes, a book deal with a working title, but the damage has already been done. Her image is broken, her brand is wobbly, and fans are split. Just when we thought everything was finished, Dipset's official Instagram shared a now-deleted black and white photo of Jim, Cam, and Jules with the message, "Some empires fall, others implode." The post was from Son of Silence, How Betrayal Broke. My house. This is what happens when ego eats loyalty, the comment section was overflowing with. A podcast dipette actually died in court, and with that, one of hip-hop's most legendary. The courtroom may have closed, but this story is far from done because insiders claim that a second testimony from someone much closer to Cam may be forthcoming. Brotherhoods broke down not because of gunfire or rivalry, but rather because of secrets, sex, and silence. You've heard it all, or at least what they permitted in that courtroom, where a woman was broken by the sun. Someone with their own story. To tell and believe me, we'll be right here when that bomb drops. Revealed a fraternity that had been shattered from the inside. Not by outsiders, but by ego, silence, and secrets that had festered for years. The real issue, though, is, was Camron always the bad guy? Or was this all a part of a sick game that everyone played? Not to mention VH1, the same producers who stood behind the cameras grinning as families perished. Did Jim truly not realize all these years that Chrissy had played to survive? Or did he remain silent because the truth stung more than the lie? Who is truly at fault here, other from a boost in ratings? Was it the affair, the betrayal, the quiet, or the fact that no one gave it any thought? How a young man would be broken by this, observing everything from the shadows? Your opinions in the comments section, because we still want to hear from you, so this isn't done. The truth seekers, the enthusiasts, the people who, did you stand as you witness Deepet rise and fall? What do you think Cam was with Jim? Unclear, or do you believe Chrissy's more powerful than any testimony was silence? Enjoy this video and show it to your team. Additionally, if you haven't signed up for the next shocking revelation, since news of Thee Street is a person who is even nearer the when will family members come forward, you'll want to be right here if they do, because the truth is not always buried.